Well, I always want to say thanks to all our local affiliates that actually see to it that the books get out to all the children. And I really think that it's a wonderful thing that all the communities just kind of pitch in together and make all these things happen, because it's really the communities that make it all possible and the folks that get out there to make it all work. And I get a lot of credit for a lot of hard work that all the folks out there are doing, so I just want to thank you. And I'm here to do my part, and hopefully I'm doing it. But I couldn't be prouder of all of you, couldn't be prouder of the big number that we've put on to this Imagination Library. 100 million books, that's a lot of books. That's a big old number. And I have you 100 million thanks to you as well.
Hello, I'm Marlene Iverson, co-chair of the Imagination Library Advisory Board. Welcome to our 7th annual Dolly Parton Imagination Library event. We're so glad that you could join us today. Thank you for taking time to hear more about this wonderful program for early literacy for the young children in our community. We were hoping that we'd be able to meet in person this year. Unfortunately, like last year, the virus had another idea. We're still excited to be able to share this virtual time with you. So enjoy the program, and thank you so much for your support.
My name is Shelley Smolniski, and I'm co-chair of the Imagination Library. This is The Little Engine That Could. This is the first book that children get in the mail when they get signed up for the Imagination Library. This is a story about a train filled with toys, stuffed animals, and dolls that are being shipped to a group of children who live in a town over the mountain. Before getting to the mountain, the engine on their train breaks down. They ask a passenger train engine, they ask a freight train engine, and they ask a very old engine for help to get them over the mountain. But whether they're unable or unwilling to help, they're stranded. Along comes the little engine. He's never been over the mountain. He's not sure he can even make it. But with the encouragement of the toys and the stuffed animals and the dolls, he makes it over the mountain and is able to deliver the passengers to the children in their beds before they wake the next morning. This book is the theme of our luncheon this year. The advisory group, the Imagination Library group, is like the Little Engine in that we're responsible for raising money so that the children in this community can continue receiving their books. Like the Little Engine, our group faced many challenges and obstacles in planning the luncheon this year. We know you're here today watching this because you're either learning about the Imagination Library for the first time or you're already a supporter of this incredible program. We're confident that with your encouragement and financial support, we'll be able to continue to raise money for books for children of this community. Thank you.
The most important thing parents can do with their children is read to them starting in infancy. Research shows that reading to babies helps develop their brains. Over time, it boosts children's vocabulary, reading skills, and language development. Plus, it's a lot of fun. Stories have been passed down for as long as we can remember. Through the ages, people have interacted with books, enjoyed and grown through reading and having stories read to them. Reading with children continues this tradition and helps them grow and create stronger relationships. Reading together should be fun. It's a great way to bond with children and helps prepare them for school. For children 1 to 2 years old, reading only needs to last for a couple of minutes each day. Children can play with, even chew on the books as they learn how books work. At this stage, interacting with them and the book, playing and making up your own stories will help them on the path to loving reading. By 2 to 3 years old, children begin to understand how books work. You can help them make the connection by showing them how to hold the book and turn the pages. Explore the story by asking questions. Instead of asking, "What's that?" ask questions that expand the conversation. For example, "Where do you think he's going?" Or, "Oh no, what happened?" 3 to 4-year-olds are ready for more complex stories. In addition to introducing shapes, colors, letters, and numbers, stories can cover more complex ideas. Discuss themes and ask your child open questions about the story. Talking about stories help children understand the world around them. Nursery rhymes and poetry are also terrific. At this age, you can even create your own stories together, using books as inspiration. At 4 to 5 years old, children are ready for stories involving heroes, adventures, and solving problems. Even before they learn to read, your child can tell you the story by describing what's happening on the page. Encourage them to imagine and explore. At this age, they are well on their way to enjoying a lifetime of new stories and ideas found in the many books around them. They're inspired by the tales of adventure and the wonders of our world. This story is brought to you by Eugene Public Library Foundation in partnership with Eugene Public Library and Dolly Parton's Imagination Library of Eugene, an organization dedicated to providing books to families across the country.
Hello and welcome to the 7th Annual Imagination Library Celebration. I'm Reed DeVaz McGowan, the Executive Director of Eugene Public Library Foundation. The foundation is the local affiliate of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and we are proud to partner with Eugene Public Library to bring the Imagination Library to our community. And this luncheon is an opportunity for us to learn about and raise funds for the Imagination Library of Eugene. I have been proud to support this program, not only as an advocate, but also as a parent and a donor too. And that's why we're here today, to advocate and raise funds for the Imagination Library program. This incredible program that delivers free books to children where they need them now more than ever, directly to their mailboxes from birth to age 5. We just received the last book to help us with our transition to kindergarten this fall. Throughout the event, there will be a number of ways to support this program. We'll continue to share the website and phone number so that you can make your gift to the Imagination Library of Eugene if you haven't already. We have some great raffle prizes, including a staycation at the Gordon Hotel with a gift certificate to Marche, a book lovers package with gift certificates to 3 local bookstores, and a gift certificate to Elephant's Trunk for the child or child at heart in your family. You can purchase raffle ticket packs of 5 for $10 by visiting the link on the screen. The raffle will be open for another 24 hours and will close on Friday, September 24th at noon. And I'm honored to announce our first featured speaker, Dr. Audrey Lucero. Dr. Lucero is an associate professor of language and literacy education and the director of Latinx studies at the University of Oregon. Her work includes investigating the language and literacy practices of bilingual elementary school children in both Spanish and English. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Lucero.
Hi everyone, I'm Audrey Lucero and I'm a professor of language and literacy at the University of Oregon. I've been in Eugene for 10 years and I'm really happy to get to talk with you a little bit about the value of the Imagination Library and its role in early literacy. So one of the things I study is the role of language in reading and writing success later in school, especially for bilingual children. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is for kids to have early experiences with books and stories to help set the stage for later success and enthusiasm for reading and writing. I think one of the things that we often think of is reading and writing as solitary processes, but actually they're relational, right? All of my college students talk to me about experiences reading with parents, grandparents, loved ones, how much they valued those experiences. And that's really important for kids to start to associate books with positive relationships, with loving, caring interactions with family members, and with talking to each other and with engaging in conversation. So my hope is that kids who participate in this program have the opportunity to talk with their families about the stories they read, to hold the books in their hands, to ask questions, answer questions, start to think about the world in a broader way Those are all values that I think we as a literate community hold and that I think are made more possible by the Imagination Library. You know, Census 2020 data just came out, shows that Oregon is an increasingly diverse state. Now, about 74% of people identify as solely white, which means that the population of linguistic minorities is growing. So we know that we have a pretty robust Spanish-speaking community in Eugene, Springfield, who is well served by this program. In addition to, obviously, all children being served well by this program. But just the fact that we have such an engaged Eugene Public Library as a resource for our community, and that the Imagination Library is part of that service, is a critical support for literacy in our community.
Sandy Silverthorne is a multi-talented resident of Eugene. He is an award-winning author and illustrator of children's books. His books are humorous, engaging, and positive. His illustrations are whimsical and make you smile. Please welcome Sandy Silverthorne.
Well, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Sandy Silverthorne and I'm a children's author and illustrator. And I guess if your name is Sandy Silverthorne, you're kind of destined to be a children's author, I guess. That just looks so great on the cover of a book. And I am so pleased and so honored to be a part of our luncheon today. When I first heard about the Imagination Library, I loved the idea. I just think it's such a great idea, mainly because I was a bit of a late bloomer as far as a reader. So once I discovered books, I never looked back, and I just love children's books, I love adult books, and I just love reading. And it's a privilege of mine to be able to create content that a child or a family could enjoy. I kind of got into being an author the way I do a lot of things, kind of backwards. I started out by illustrating other people's books. And then all of a sudden I thought, gee, I could probably do my own books. But because I'd been an illustrator so long, I actually designed the pages and illustrated the pages before I even really knew what the words were going to be. Well, now I've kind of got it right, and now I work with the words and the illustration, and hopefully it turns out well. I've been able to be doing this for over 25 years, and I am so thankful every day that I either get in front of my computer or at my drawing table, that I'm able to create content that hopefully will connect with a young person. People sometimes ask me what my process is when I'm working on a children's book. Well, basically my process is twofold. One is I become 8 years old again, and then the second thing is I try to write and draw like an 8-year-old, or whoever the other age group that I'm trying to connect with. I don't know what happens. My family thinks I never really grew up. When I hang around 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, my daughter always says, "Oh, good, you're finally with your peers." So that's kind of how my mind works, and it kind of makes it easy when you're working on children's books. Right now I'm working on 2 projects, a book for children called Kids' Big Questions for God, and then I'm also working on, this is kind of a secret, but it's just between us, a dad joke book. So that's really fun. So all you dads out there, get ready. This spring, we're going to have a dad joke book for you, so you don't have to make up your own. The things we've been working on lately, in fact, the past couple of years, have been joke books for kids. And I have about 4 of them now that keep coming out, and they're just really fun to do, get to illustrate as well as come up with these jokes, although I don't come up with them, I gather them, I find them. You might recognize a few of them as you look at the book. But I woke up one morning and I thought, boy, how do I publicize this? I don't picture myself going over to Barnes & Noble and standing in front of a group of adults and saying, gee, they discovered an oil slick from 2,000 years ago. Apparently it's from ancient Greece. Well, I don't really picture myself doing that. So I had this idea, why not have kids do it? So we hosted the first annual Kids Comedy Classic at a few bookstores around the Northwest, and it was a ball. It was so much fun watching these kids get up and do comedy in front of a very appreciative audience. In fact, I have a little preview of some of the kids, so you'll kind of get an idea of what went on at those bookstores. Why don't you take a look at this?
Why can you not trust an atom? Because they make up everything.
How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? Give up already? Okay, 10 tickles.
What do you call an elephant on hockey skates? An icebreaker.
How does a ghost say good morning? Boo morning.
Why didn't the lawnmower win the election? Because he was defeated by the grassroots campaign.
What do chess players have for breakfast?
I don't know.
Pancakes!
Ha ha ha.
Knock knock. Who's there? Interrupting cow. Interrupting.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. There's just something fresh and energetic about kids telling jokes, so what a treat. And as I was doing these joke books, I kind of was thinking, gee, am I really doing anything to help anybody? And then all of a sudden I got a review on Amazon, and it really touched me. A mom wrote about one of my first joke books. My son hates to read, he doesn't read, he won't read, but now he's got this joke book of yours, and he's following me around the house reading the jokes out loud to me. So I thought, what a privilege. The way these joke books are set up, they're short, there's a lot of pictures in there. So for reluctant readers like myself, when I was that age, what a great way to introduce these kids to the joy and the spark of reading. I love the small part that I get to play in creating things for young kids to read and enjoy. But you know what? Every one of us plays a part. As we are today, you get a chance to support this amazing program called the Imagination Library. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. I hope you're enjoying the time. I know I really am. And God bless all of you.
Hi, I'm Renee Buchanan. I'm the president of the Eugene Public Library Foundation Board. I'm really excited to be with you today. A special thank you to our partnering sponsor, Northwest Community Credit Union. Champion sponsors, David Bertner and Leona Henderson Bertner, and Powers Howard Quimby. And community sponsors Summit Bank and WaFd Bank. Thank you to Hirschner Hunter for their support. Recently, I was asked why the Imagination Library provides free books to all children, regardless of income. Should children in homes who already have books and parents who read to them be able to participate? I see a few very critical elements that demonstrate that all children should have access to the Imagination Library. First, it elevates each child's self-perception. Getting a book in the mail each month addressed to you is an exciting event that communicates to the child that you are important to this community. Second, it eliminates stigma. Being enrolled has no shame. It doesn't tell people you are poor or disadvantaged. Studies have shown that where all children have access to free school lunch, the children who need the food most are most likely to accept it. They are no longer signaled out as being different. Lastly, when a family's economic situation changes, a child's eligibility should not. I hope when Eugene children meet in kindergarten, they have a common experience, a magical experience, of how a book arrived each month in their mailbox addressed to them. They can discuss which was their favorite book, and that will be a bridge between their differences. I genuinely believe we need to get more children, all children, enrolled in the Imagination Library. And today we need your help with two things. We need help getting all children in Eugene enrolled in the Imagination Library, and we need help raising the funds to cover the costs. Northwest Community Credit Union has an extraordinary vision for how to reach more children in Eugene, which is accelerating the momentum of the Imagination Library. We're going to hear from them next. Following the Northwest Community Credit Union, we're pleased, ecstatic, to welcome award-winning Stone Soup cartoonist and local library supporter, Jan Eliot.
Hello, I'm Jan Eliot, President and CEO of Northwest Community Credit Union. I'm here with NWCU's Board Director and former Eugene City Manager, John Reese. Together, we want to thank the Imagination Library for providing the means to bring books right into the homes of children and their families. We both know from our personal lives and our professional experiences that literacy has a kind of superpower to change lives. Don't you think, John?
Absolutely. As city manager, I worked with others on different city and community challenges, like economic opportunity, affordable housing and sustainability, social justice and public safety, which often revealed the many ways literacy touches everyone's quality of life and personal growth, and even their safety. I also personally invested in solutions to keep our youth in school and out of homelessness. I saw that success in early reading directly affects how youth can complete schooling and reach the stability that employment provides. I know that you have personally invested too.
You're so right, John. I've witnessed this firsthand as a foster parent, a former military officer, and now CEO in financial services, collegiate instructor, and mentor. I can honestly say that there is no more important building block for life than being able to read. I know that the way the Imagination Library provides children with a book of their very own will spark a lifelong love of learning as it has for me. Books help kids dream big in terms of what's possible for themselves. And later, when it comes to financial literacy, managing money, and being able to create your own financial story as a young adult, you have to have a strong ability to read in order to open the next chapter of your life.
I agree. Reaching families at home brings parents and caregivers a tool they can use to teach and learn these skills right along with their child. So, how can we help?
Well, John, you've helped me see how closely Northwest Community Credit Union's pillars of philanthropy align with the Imagination Library. Our focus for giving is youth, financial literacy, and adult education and community sustainability. So we would like to announce a gift of support for the Eugene area chapter of the Imagination Library.
Northwest Community Credit Union's leadership and board of directors would like to present the Imagination Library with a gift in the amount of $250,000 to bring books to the community's children over the next 5 years.
I'm so excited to be a part of this gift. Please join us in bringing free books to children in Eugene through the Imagination Library.
Hi, everyone. I know this is not exactly what we imagined for our Imagination Library Luncheon, but it's what we're stuck with. Thank you, COVID. By virtue of technology, I can still talk with you today. I'm in my studio. You're in your home or office or home office. I don't get to see your kind faces as I speak, but we all just have to make the best of it for the sake of the Imagination Library. Thanks so much for being here. When I was contemplating what to say today, I decided my own childhood was a pretty good place to start. I grew up in a small town outside of Chicago, about the size of Cottage Grove. I went to my neighborhood grade school, and my most memorable year there was 4th grade. That's because that's the year that I learned to read for pleasure. My 4th grade classroom had 2 wonderful features: a wall of books that we could browse through and borrow, and a teacher who read to us. Mrs. Mungerson read a chapter every day from books like The Boxcar Children, which was a series, which meant if you got hooked on the first book, there were more on the bookshelves in our classroom to borrow. Now that I think of it, that was probably Mrs. Mungerson's ulterior motive. It wasn't just a way to calm a room full of antsy 10-year-olds. It was a ploy to capture our imaginations and curiosity and turn us into readers who kept going after she closed the book. I grew up in a privileged time, the 50s and 60s, when most parents could get family wage jobs and schools were very well funded. Every classroom had books for kids to borrow. Most homes had a set of encyclopedias, Reader's Digest and Atlas, magazines like Life and Saturday Evening Post. I was drawn to those magazines for the cartoons, but I stayed for the stories. When I was bored, and I think my boredom was a gift, I'd pick up a volume from our Encyclopedia Britannica and look for something on whales or sharks, the oceans, or maybe male anatomy. It was easy. All the books were in the den. We had a den. That's where the piano lived, and where there was a couch to stretch out on with a book. Today, well, it seems that much of that abundance does not exist for a lot of families. Wikipedia, accessible if you have a computer, is a pretty poor substitute for an actual encyclopedia. Never mind the amateur nature of it. You can't hold a volume in your hand and leaf through the glossy pages. School classrooms don't guarantee a wall of books you can borrow. Libraries require a parent who's willing and able to drive you there or take you on the bus. A parent who sees the value is willing to get the library card and help you track when the books are due. In a family with 2 working parents, with too little time and too little money, library visits may not be a priority. Television is the easiest entertainment and a pretty good babysitter. I think there are a lot of kiddos out there who've never been read to or even given books as a birthday present. Another thing I loved about 4th grade was ordering books from Scholastic Book Club. You pored over the color flyer describing all sorts of titles, filled out the order form, got the money from your parents, and a few weeks later your books showed up in the classroom, passed out by the teacher. The books were fresh and new and yours to take home. For the kids who belong to the Imagination Library, receiving a new book each month must be the same. A spontaneous gift, a surprise in the mail, addressed to you personally and yours to keep. If you have siblings, the book that arrives each month can be passed around. Maybe if you're the oldest one, you'll read it to them. Books can live in the bathroom, can be read under the covers with a flashlight, on a road trip, in the backyard, and on a nice day. Books smell of ink and paper and feel smooth to the touch. Turning the pages, turning back for something you missed, dog-eared so you remember your place or a special part. You can even, as I did, doodle in the margins, at the risk of being yelled at. But hey, it's your book. There's been a lot of disappointment in the last 18 months. Virtual classrooms have been a struggle. Kids have been isolated and falling behind. Libraries were closed. Hundreds of events canceled, including this luncheon. I was really looking forward to meeting you all. And more importantly, I was hoping to help raise money for the Imagination Library in person. Like virtual classrooms, virtual luncheons leave a lot to be desired. But that doesn't mean we can't have a successful fundraiser, really. I'm hoping you are watching this with one of those delicious salads in front of you and maybe a glass of wine in your hand. Instead of being with you, I'm speaking to you from my studio in South Eugene. We are doing it because the Imagination Library is a brilliant idea and a worthy one. This program, as you know, created by Dolly Parton, has been in existence long enough to be an effective organization that does one thing well. It gets books to children who need and deserve them. Not just one book, but a new book every month. Eugene's Imagination Library has been in existence since 2014 and has distributed 270,000 books so far to 11,000 children. 3,500 children are currently being served, and so far every request is being met. As the program grows, though, the library's budget needs to grow to meet the increasing need. The Eugene Public Library Foundation hopes to increase enrollment this year both by extending the boundaries of the program and by outreach to Spanish-speaking children and their families. My publisher asked me to tell you that she has committed $1,000 because she believes in this fine program. She challenges those of you who can to match her contribution. And I will give a Stone Soup comic strip original to the donor making the largest gift. They look like this. They're very beautiful. You can choose by going through the books that you may own, or by going through my archive online, or by talking to me about who your favorite character is, whatever it takes. This is a last chance to acquire original artwork, by the way, because my comic strip archive is being shipped to this fall to the Billy Ireland Cartoon Research Library at Ohio State University. It's all going to be gone. I love the name of this library, the Imagination Library. My imagination brought me and you the comic strip Stone Soup. My imagination was fed from a young age by books. Books I could fall into, books I could learn from, books that fed my fantasies and my dream life. My first job after college was driving a bookmobile for the Lane County Library, a library that served the small communities outside Eugene Springfield, from Mackenzie Bridge to Heceta. That library and bookmobile no longer exist. The rural kids who climbed on board loved that the books came to them. Imagination Library fills that pleasure and need, giving the gift of books to kids who can really use them. I hope you will support the Imagination Library today, please, in any way you can. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. And to answer a question that might have been asked at the luncheon, yes, I'm very much enjoying my retirement. Thanks for being such great fans for 25 years.
For 5 years of your kids' life.
Zoom, 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 the motor on the bus. Zoom, 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 all through the town.
Good job, Lena. So I'm Abigail, and this is Lena and Maeve, and we have been Imagination Library users since Lena was a baby. I grew up in Eugene and have been a library patron my entire life. I got my library card as soon as I could sign my name. And I remember the days at the bookmobile and coming here and filling up laundry baskets full of books with my siblings. So I've always loved reading and hoped that one day my kids would too. And when I heard about the Imagination Library program, I thought it was way too good to be true. How would someone just send us books, free books, every month for the first 5 years of our kids' lives? And we quickly found out that it was not too good to be true, and that's exactly what happens every month. In our house, Dolly Parton is considered one of our friends, and we get really excited to get mail from her every month. And what we love about it is that it teaches our kids to love reading, to love books, to read different books that maybe we wouldn't have necessarily picked out for them. And we're so fortunate to have access to lots of books from our trips to the library and from family and friends who gift us with books. But we love that this option of free books is available around the country and to so many people in Lane County and in Eugene, because it's just so important to develop that love of reading from a young age. So giving access to kids is so important to get that started from birth on. So I tell so many people about this program just because it means so much to so many, and we're so glad to be a part of it. And we're very grateful to Dolly Parton, our good friend, and the Eugene Public Library Foundation. What do you think? Okay, you can stand right here, stand next to Mama, and can you say, thank you for supporting the Imagination Library?
Thank you for supporting the Museum Person Library.
And can you say, thank you, Eugene Public Library Foundation?
Thank you, Eugene Public Library Foundation.
And can you say, I love my books?
I love my books.
Can you wave bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Good job.
I am in 100% support of the Imagination Library. I've been reading to our son since he was in my belly, recognizing the value and the importance for these little kiddos to develop that social, emotional well-being, the intelligence, the imagination building that comes from that, and the productivity that lasts into their adult lives. We used these books to supplement a library that we already have, but not all children have this. And the beauty of having a new and relevant book coming to your kiddos in their own name each month is priceless, and the benefits will last a lifetime. Please join me and WaFd Bank in supporting the Imagination Library and the Eugene Public Library Foundation.
Neighbors, more than just people next door. Good ones are indispensable. They look out for us, look after us, have our back at a moment's notice. They're quick to lend a hand or a hammer. They are trusted allies when times get tough. For more than 100 years, through prosperity and challenges, we've done our best to be that reliable next-door neighbor. Your neighbor. WaFd Bank.
Fostering the love of books in children is one of the most important things we can do to help our children thrive. This program provides books to kids across backgrounds, income levels, and is for all, from birth to their 5th birthday. We can do this for our community together. $25 sponsors a child for 1 year, and $125 sponsors that child for all 5 years. Thank you for your support. We encourage people to consider a recurring donation. Recurring donations are especially valuable because they are a reliable source of funding to make sure those books can come each month. For those of you who already give, please consider bumping up your recurring gift by $5 or $10 a month, because every dollar matters. Thank you to our Legacy for Literacy donors who have committed to providing a gift of $1,000 every year for 5 years. These generous contributions ensure the sustainability of the Imagination Library of Eugene. Please consider joining the Legacy for Literacy.
Thank you all so much for coming to celebrate the Imagination Library of Eugene and our success at delivering over 270,000 books to children locally. A special thank you to our speakers and sponsors for sharing your love of literacy with us. We think we can, we think we can, we think we can do this together. Please join me in donating to the Imagination Library of Eugene.